First contact under fire. The massive chamber of mining station Epsilon 7 echoed with the steady hum of plasma drills as Maya Chen adjusted her environmental suit's settings. 8 kilometers beneath the surface of Kepler 186f, the pressure alone would have crushed most species in the galaxy. But humans had long since adapted to working in such conditions. Core sample analysis complete, Maya announced to her team, studying the holographic readout hovering above her wrist. Initiating final extraction sequence. The discovery of rare earth elements in this sector had drawn interest from across the galaxy, including the attention of the Kilari Confederation. Their representatives were due to arrive within the hour, humanity's first official contact with their species. Maya had been chosen as the site supervisor specifically because of her experience with deep-core mining operations. 20 years of working in the most hostile environments humanity had encountered made her uniquely qualified. The station's warning system suddenly blared to life. Anomalous energy signature detected. Unknown vessel approaching on non-standard vector. Maya's hands flew across her control panel. All teams, emergency protocols. Secure your stations and prepare for. The explosion came without warning. A surge of plasma from a ruptured containment field engulfed the chamber. Temperature readings spiked past 3,000 degrees Celsius, hot enough to vaporize most known materials in the galaxy. Maya felt the heat even through her suit's protection as the blast threw her against the reinforced wall. The Kilari medical ship arrived to find chaos. Chief Medical Officer Zenta, leading the emergency response team, expected to find only debris and remnants. Instead, their sensors detected a life sign, impossible given the readings of the explosion. They found Maya Chen sitting against a scorched wall, running diagnostics on her damaged suit. Her environmental systems were offline, yet she breathed the toxic atmosphere with only minor discomfort. The left side of her suit had partially melted, exposing skin that showed signs of burns, but was already beginning to heal. "Please remain still," Zenta instructed, his translucent appendages waving in agitation as he approached. "You've sustained critical injuries that should be fatal." Maya looked up at the alien medical officer, managing a pained smile. "I've had worse during training exercises back home. Though I'll admit, this one stings a bit." Zenta's sensor clusters pulsed with confusion as he scanned her vital signs. "Impossible. Your cellular structure is regenerating at rates that defy medical science. Standard human healing," Maya explained, wincing as she stood. "We evolved on a planet that doesn't forgive weakness. Our bodies learn to adapt fast or die." The medical team watched in fascination as Maya's burns visibly improved even as they conducted their scans. Their own species, evolved in the carefully controlled environments of their homeworld, could barely survive minor environmental fluctuations. Yet here was a being who had endured what their calculations deemed unsurvivable. "Your species," Zenta began, still processing the implications. "You say this regenerative capability is common." "Pretty much universal," Maya replied, already checking her equipment. "Earth throws everything it can at us. Extreme temperatures, crushing pressures, toxic atmospheres. Those who survived passed on their resilience. Natural selection at its finest." The Kilari medical team exchanged looks of astonishment. They had known humans came from what was classified as a death world, but seeing the practical implications challenged everything they understood about biological limitations. Maya interrupted their contemplation. "Look, I appreciate the medical attention, but we need to secure this site. That explosion wasn't an accident. Someone or something triggered that containment breach deliberately. You wish to continue working." Zenta's voice carried equal parts concern and disbelief. "Your injuries will heal," Maya finished firmly. "Meanwhile, we have a sabotage mining operation, a compromised safety system, and a first contact situation that's gone sideways. I need your help to figure out who didn't want this meeting to happen." The Kilari medical officer studied her for a long moment, his sensor clusters pulsing with new understanding. Perhaps, he realized, there was more to these Death Worlders than mere physical resilience. Their determination to press forward despite injury, to solve problems even in crisis, suggested a mental fortitude as impressive as their biological adaptations. Very well, Zen-Tut agreed, signaling his team. But you will allow us to monitor your condition as we proceed. Your species' capabilities deserve proper documentation, for medical science, if nothing else. Maya nodded, already moving toward the damaged control center. Fair enough. Though I warn you, what you're about to learn about human endurance might change how you view the galaxy. As they worked to secure the facility, Zen-Tut began to understand why humans had advanced so quickly since joining the galactic community. Their ability to survive and adapt wasn't just physical, it was ingrained in every aspect of their being. And as he watched Maya Chen coordinate the emergency response, while her own body healed from near-fatal injuries, he realized this first contact, despite its violent beginning, might mark the start of something remarkable. The question of who had tried to prevent this meeting remained to be answered, but whoever they were, they had clearly underestimated the resilience of humanity's representatives. A mistake, Zen-Tut suspected, that many would make only once. The test developments. 3 days after the explosion, Mining Station Epsilon 7's emergency bunker buzzed with activity. Maya Chen stood before a holographic display of the facility's lower levels, where 6 Kilari maintenance workers remained trapped after a series of cascading system failures. The saboteurs' work had been more thorough than initially suspected. The environmental controls are completely gone in sectors 12 through 15, she explained to the assembled rescue team. Temperatures at 372 degrees Celsius, pressure at 312 atmospheres, and the atmosphere's mostly sulfur dioxide. No way to restore systems remotely. Zen-Tut's sensor clusters dimmed with concern. Those conditions exceed all known biological tolerance limits. Even with our most advanced protective equipment, a Kilari rescue team would not survive more than 2 minutes of exposure. Good thing I'm not Kilari then. Maya checked the seals on her backup environmental suit. Human deep mining suits are rated for worse conditions. I can get through. Impossible, one of the Kilari engineers interjected. The last explosion damaged all remaining suits beyond safety tolerances. Even your remarkable biology cannot withstand such extremes unprotected. Maya allowed herself a grim smile. You'd be surprised what we can withstand. Besides, the suit doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to last long enough. She pulled up detailed schematics of the damaged sectors. The maintenance team's emergency shelter has about 6 hours of air left. We don't have time to wait for backup equipment. I'm going in. Zen-Tut moved closer, his translucent form shifting with agitation. As Chief Medical Officer, I cannot authorize this. The risk of fatal injury. With respect, Maya interrupted. I'm not asking for authorization. I'm informing you of my decision. Those are my people down there too. The Kilari medical officer studied her for a long moment. His species' careful, methodical approach to problem-solving had served them well in their controlled environments. But here, faced with conditions that defied their understanding of survival, perhaps a different approach was needed. At least allow me to implant monitoring devices, he conceded. If we are to learn from this, we should gather all possible data. Maya nodded, and within minutes she was ready. The damaged suit's temperature regulation was failing, its pressure compensation system working at barely 40% capacity. But she had survived worse during the uranium mining incidents in Europa's core. The descent into the compromised sectors was a journey into hell by any normal standard. Maya's skin burned even through the suit's protection as she navigated the superheated corridors. Warning indicators flashed constantly as the suit's systems struggled against conditions they were never meant to endure. In the control room above, the Kilari watched in fascination as Maya's biometric data streamed across their screens. Her body temperature rose dangerously, but her cellular structure adapted, proteins reshaping themselves to maintain function. Her bones creaked under the enormous pressure, but held. Even the caustic atmosphere that leaked through the suit's failing seals seemed to do little more than cause discomfort. "Remarkable," Zenta muttered, recording every detail. Their species didn't just evolve to survive such conditions. They evolved to adapt to them in real time. Maya's voice came through the comm system, strained but determined. "Found them. Emergency shelters intact, but its systems are failing. Beginning override sequence." The next 20 minutes were a masterclass in human endurance. With her suit's systems failing one by one, Maya worked to bypass the shelter's locked controls. Her skin blistered and healed repeatedly as she exposed her hands to make the necessary connections. The Kilari watched in stunned silence as she pushed through pain that would have incapacitated most species, her focus never wavering from the task. When the shelter's door finally opened, revealing 6 grateful Kilari workers, Maya's suit had failed entirely. She helped coordinate their evacuation through the least dangerous route, her exposed skin now directly handling tools and surfaces hot enough to melt standard plastics. Back in the medical bay, as Zenta treated her injuries, which were already healing at rates that defied his understanding, Maya began analyzing data from the rescue operation. The system failures weren't random, she explained, barely wincing as regenerative compounds were applied to her burns. "Someone knew exactly where to hit us to cause maximum damage. They knew the Kilari team's maintenance schedule, knew our safety protocols." "An inside job?" Zenta asked, his sensors focused on her rapidly healing tissue. "Has to be. But why?" Maya pulled up facility logs on her partially melted datapad. "The sabotage seems specifically designed to prevent any possibility of cooperation between our species. Someone really doesn't want humans and Kilari working together." Zenta considered this as he worked. The rescue operation had demonstrated capabilities in humans that many in the galactic community would find troubling. Their ability to survive and function in conditions that would kill most species, their seemingly casual disregard for personal safety in pursuit of their goals. These traits could be seen as threatening by those who preferred the status quo. "Perhaps," he suggested, "that is precisely why cooperation between our species is so important. Your physical resilience combined with our technical expertise, the possibilities are considerable." Maya nodded, already planning their next steps. The saboteur was still out there, and likely wouldn't stop at one attempt. But they had underestimated both human determination and Kilari insight, a mistake that would prove costly. As she stood to leave the medical bay, Maya turned to Zenta. "You know, on Earth we have a saying, 'What doesn't kill us makes us stronger.' Today proved that applies to partnerships as well as people." The Kilari medical officers' sensor clusters pulsed with agreement. Whatever forces were working against them, they now faced something potentially more dangerous than human physical resilience. Human and Kilari cooperation. Breaking point. "Your immune system shouldn't be doing this," Zenta declared, his sensor clusters pulsing rapidly as he studied the holographic display. "By all known medical science, the pathogen should have overwhelmed your defenses hours ago." Maya Chen lay on the medical bay's examination table, monitoring her own vital signs with professional curiosity. The mysterious illness that had swept through mining station Epsilon 7 had incapacitated most of the Kilari crew within hours. Yet the human staff, while showing symptoms, remained functional. "Earth's pathogens make this look like a mild cold," Maya explained, sitting up despite Zenta's protests. "Our immune systems evolved to fight things that could kill most species outright. We're basically walking battlegrounds." The quarantine alerts flashed silently through the station's corridors. 26 Kilari crew members were now in critical condition, their bodies unable to cope with a disease that seemed engineered specifically for their physiology. The timing was too perfect to be coincidental. "Someone's escalating," Maya commented, reviewing the infection patterns on her datapad. First the explosion, then the sabotage, now a targeted biological agent. "They're getting desperate." Zenta moved to adjust the medical bay's containment field. The pathogen's structure suggests advanced bioengineering. Its attack on Killeri cellular matrices is precise, almost elegant, yet human physiology seems to treat it like target practice. Maya finished with a grim smile. That's because our immune system doesn't just fight threats. It adapts to them, learns from them, gets stronger. Earth taught us that standing still means death. The medical officer's appendages waved in fascination as he analyzed Maya's blood work. Human leukocytes were actively dismantling the engineered pathogen, breaking it down and developing countermeasures faster than his instruments could track. Your species carries this level of adaptive defense constantly, he asked, adding another layer of analysis to his scans. The energy requirements alone should be massive. Maya nodded. That's why humans eat so much compared to most species. We're not just maintaining our bodies, we're maintaining armies inside them. A priority alert flashed across the medical bay's screens. 3 more Killeri had entered critical condition, their bodies losing the fight against the engineered disease. Time was running out. The good news, Maya continued, studying the latest data, is that my immune system's response might be the key to saving your people. The bad news is that whoever engineered this virus likely has more planned. Zenta processed this information, his sensor clusters dimming in contemplation. You believe you can synthesize a treatment from your antibodies. Better than that. Maya pulled up a complex molecular diagram. My immune system isn't just fighting the virus, it's rebuilding it, learning its weaknesses. Give me access to your medical synthesis equipment, and I think we can turn this attack back on whoever launched it. The next few hours became a crash course in human biological warfare. From the defending side, Maya's body continued producing increasingly effective countermeasures to the pathogen, while she and Zenta worked to understand and replicate the process. Your species evolved this capability naturally, Zenta asked as they worked, his amazement evident in his fluctuating bioluminescence, to not only survive pathogens but to weaponize the defense against them. Survival of the fittest isn't just about being tough, Maya explained, adjusting the synthesis parameters. It's about being smarter than whatever's trying to kill you. Earth's pathogens have been trying to kill us for millions of years. We learned to use their own tricks against them. The medical bay's systems hummed as they processed the enhanced antibodies. Maya's immune system had not only neutralized the engineered virus, but had turned it into a delivery system for its own cure. It was a level of biological adaptation that bordered on the impossible. Treatment synthesis complete, the system announced. Zenta immediately began administering the cure to his suffering crew members. Within hours, the first patients showed signs of recovery. As they monitored the treatment's progress, Maya continued analyzing the virus's structure. The engineering in this thing, it's familiar. I've seen similar work before in classified reports about attempts to weaponize deep space bacteria. You believe this connects to your previous work? Zenta asked, his sensors focused on her reaction. I think someone's trying to prevent human Killeri cooperation by any means necessary. First physical sabotage, now biological warfare. Maya's expression hardened, and I think I know why. The rare earth elements we found here, they're not just valuable. They're key components in next-generation drive systems. Zenta's sensor clusters pulsed with sudden understanding. A technological breakthrough that would benefit both our species and change the balance of power in this sector of space, Maya finished. Someone out there thinks they can stop us by exploiting our biological differences. Instead, they're just proving why we need to work together. As the last of the infected Killeri began showing signs of recovery, Maya and Zenta turned their attention to the station's security logs. The saboteur had escalated from physical attacks to biological warfare. Their next move would likely be even more dramatic. But they had miscalculated twice now. They didn't understand that humans weren't just physically resilient. They were adaptable in ways that defied conventional understanding. And now, with Kilari analytical capabilities combined with human biological warfare defenses, the station's crew was better prepared than ever. "You know," Maya said as they reviewed the security footage, "there's another old Earth saying that seems relevant here. What doesn't kill you better start running." Zenta's bioluminescence flickered in what Maya had learned to recognize as amusement. The saboteur had tried to use biology to drive their species apart. Instead, they had demonstrated exactly why the galaxy needed both of them working together. Survival's price. Deep in mining station Epsilon 7's mainframe core, Maya Chen stared at lines of code scrolling across her neural interface display. The station's quantum computers were running at maximum capacity, processing data from thousands of sensors. Something was wrong with the numbers. "The power fluctuations aren't random," she announced to Zenta, who hovered nearby monitoring environmental readings. "They're following a pattern I've seen before in weapons testing facilities." Weapons. The Kilari medical officer's bioluminescence dimmed with concern. The station's fusion reactors were never designed for weapons-grade output. Exactly. Maya's fingers danced across holographic controls. "Someone's trying to turn our power core into a bomb. And not just any bomb. A gravitational collapse device. They're done playing games." The implications hit hard. A gravitational collapse would not only destroy the station, but would create a localized singularity, making the entire mineral-rich sector inaccessible for centuries. The perfect way to prevent human-Kilari cooperation permanently. Warning klaxons suddenly blared throughout the station. Maya's eyes widened as she read the incoming data. "They're forcing an overload in all 3 reactor cores simultaneously. The containment fields are failing. Evacuation protocols are already engaged," Zenta reported, his sensor clusters pulsing rapidly. "But the reactor cascade will reach critical point before all personnel can reach safe distance." Maya was already moving. "There's another way. The station's deep core mining equipment. We can use it to drill an emergency shaft into the planet's crust. Vent the reactor plasma straight down instead of letting it collapse. The pressure at those depths would crush any known material," Zenta objected. "And the temperature would kill anyone trying to operate the equipment," Maya finished. "Anyone but a human who spent their life working in conditions that should be impossible, like me." Before Zenta could protest, she was sprinting toward the mining deck. The medical officer followed, his sophisticated sensors recording everything. He had learned enough about humans to know he couldn't stop her, but he could at least document what was about to happen. The mining deck was chaos. Emergency lights flashed as automated systems tried to compensate for the cascading reactor failure. Maya reached the central drilling control station and began rerouting power. The drilling laser wasn't designed for this kind of rapid operation, she explained as she worked. "I'll have to manually adjust the focus to maintain beam coherence under pressure, which means being in the control chamber itself, the chamber that will be exposed to near-reactor temperatures and crushing pressures." Zenta's voice carried both awe and concern. "Even with your remarkable biology." "I know." Maya's voice was steady as she suited up. "But sometimes survival isn't about what you can endure. It's about what you're willing to endure." The next 20 minutes became a testament to human determination. As Maya worked in the increasingly unstable control chamber, Zenta's medical scanners recorded data that defied explanation. Her body temperature soared past points that should have denatured proteins. Pressure differentials threatened to rupture blood vessels. Yet she continued working, her hand steady even as her skin blistered and healed repeatedly. "You're exceeding all known biological limits," Zenta reported, his voice tense. "Your cellular structure is literally rebuilding itself as it breaks down." "That's what humans do," Maya replied through gritted teeth. "We adapt. We endure. We survive." Almost there. The drilling laser fired at full power, boring through kilometers of rock in seconds. Maya's calculations had to be perfect, too shallow, and the plasma would backflow into the station. Too deep, and they'd trigger a tectonic event. As reactor temperatures reached critical levels, Maya made the final adjustments. Her environment suit had long since failed, leaving her exposed to conditions that should have been instantly fatal. Yet something more than mere biology kept her going. A determination that Zenta was beginning to recognize as uniquely human. Plasma venting initiated, she announced, her voice hoarse. Reactor pressure dropping. We're going to make it. The station shuddered as superheated plasma was channeled deep into the planet's crust. Emergency systems slowly brought the reactors back under control. They had stopped the collapse with seconds to spare. In the aftermath, as Maya received treatment in the medical bay, security teams finally located the saboteur, a representative of a rival mining consortium, found trapped in his own escape pod. The evidence he carried revealed a deeper conspiracy, one that had underestimated both human resilience and Kilari adaptability. Your medical readings during the crisis, Zenta said as he reviewed the data, they show something remarkable. Your body wasn't just surviving the impossible conditions, it was learning from them, adapting in real time to stresses that should have been unsurvivable. Maya nodded, watching her burns heal with remarkable speed. That's the real secret of human survival. We don't just endure, we evolve. Every crisis makes us stronger. Every challenge teaches us something new. A dangerous combination, Zenta observed. Physical resilience and intellectual adaptation. Dangerous to our enemies, maybe. Maya sat up, already checking station status reports. But valuable to our allies. The saboteurs wanted to prove humans and Kilari couldn't work together. Instead, they proved exactly why we should. The station's sensors were already detecting unusual mineral formations where the vented plasma had cooled in the planet's crust. The crisis had unexpectedly revealed new resources, ones that would require both human endurance and Kilari technology to extract. You know, Maya said with a slight smile, there's another old Earth saying, pressure creates diamonds. Zenta's bioluminescence flickered in what had become his version of a laugh. Then perhaps we should thank our would-be destroyers. Their pressure has created something far more valuable, proof that our species are stronger together than apart. Legacy of the Deathworlders. 1 month after the sabotage attempts at mining station Epsilon 7, Maya Chen stood before the Galactic Council's emergency session. The vast chamber held representatives from 30 spacefaring species, all gathered to hear testimony about the events that had nearly triggered an artificial singularity in a resource-rich sector. The evidence is clear, Maya stated, her voice carrying through the chamber. The attacks on our joint mining operation weren't just about preventing human Kilari cooperation. They were about stopping something bigger, the next step in our species' combined evolution. Holographic displays showed the data they'd recovered from the saboteurs' files. The conspiracy reached into the highest levels of several major mining consortiums, all terrified of what human resilience combined with Kilari technology might achieve. Zenta floated forward, his bioluminescence steady as he addressed the council. As Chief Medical Officer, I have documented capabilities in human biology that defy conventional understanding. Their ability to survive and adapt to conditions we consider impossible is not a threat. It is an opportunity. The chamber erupted in murmurs as Zenta displayed his medical readings from the crisis. Images showed Maya's cells regenerating under conditions that should have destroyed organic matter, her immune system evolving in real time to counter engineered pathogens, her body adapting to pressures and temperatures that violated established biological limits. But physical resilience is only part of the equation, Maya continued. What our enemies fail to understand is that humans don't just survive. We learn. Every crisis makes us stronger. Every challenge teaches us something new. And now, working with the Kilari, we've learned how to share that strength. The displays shifted to show the breakthrough they'd made in the aftermath of the crisis. The combination of human biological adaptability and Kilari biotechnology had led to something unprecedented, a way to temporarily grant other species humanity's remarkable survival traits. The treatment is voluntary and temporary, Zenta explained, his sensor clusters pulsing with excitement. It allows other species to briefly experience the adaptability that humans take for granted, to survive conditions that would normally be fatal, to learn and grow stronger from adversity. This isn't about making everyone into humans, Maya added, seeing the concern in some council members' expressions. It's about understanding each other, about sharing strengths instead of fearing differences. She brought up the final data set, the mineral formations discovered where the vented plasma had cooled in the planet's crust. The saboteurs tried to destroy us, but they accidentally proved why we need each other. Those new mineral deposits are impossible to reach without both human endurance and Kilari technology. Together, we can access resources that neither species could reach alone. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The conspiracy had tried to prevent cooperation between species, fearing what such alliances might achieve. Instead, they had catalyzed exactly the kind of breakthrough they had hoped to prevent. We call Earth a death world. Maya continued, her voice firm. But that term misses the point. Every challenge on our planet taught us something. Every threat made us adapt. Every near-death experience showed us new possibilities. We didn't just survive Earth, we learned from it. And now we want to share those lessons. Zen-Ta moved to her side, his bioluminescence synchronized with her words in a display of unity. The human capacity for survival is remarkable, but their willingness to share that strength is even more so. They do not seek to dominate. They seek to elevate, to help others achieve what they have achieved. The council's deliberation was shorter than anyone expected. The evidence was irrefutable. The combination of human resilience and Kilari biotechnology offered possibilities that could benefit all spacefaring species. The conspiracy had failed not just in their attempts at sabotage, but in their fundamental understanding of human nature. As the council session ended, Maya and Zen-Ta stood at a viewport overlooking the galaxy's spiral arm. Mining Station Epsilon 7 was visible as a distant point of light, still operating, still producing resources that would help build a better future for all species. You know, Maya said thoughtfully, back on Earth, there's a type of forest that only grows stronger after a fire. The heat and pressure don't destroy it. They trigger new growth, new possibilities. Like humans, Zen-Ta observed, his sensor clusters pulsing gently. Pressure doesn't break you. It reveals what you're truly capable of. Maya smiled. And now we can share that capability. Not to make everyone the same, but to help everyone become stronger in their own way. The viewport's display shifted, showing ships from various species already heading toward Epsilon 7, ready to learn what humans and Kilari could teach them about survival, adaptation, and growth. The saboteurs had tried to prevent cooperation between species. Instead, they had sparked a revolution in how the galaxy's inhabitants viewed their own potential. There's one more Earth saying that seems appropriate, Maya said as they watched the ships approach. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fires. Zen-Ta's bioluminescence flickered in agreement. Then perhaps we should be grateful for the fire. It showed us not just how strong humans are, but how strong all species can become when we work together. The legacy of the Deathworlders, it turned out, wasn't just about survival. It was about teaching others to survive, to adapt, to grow stronger. And as ships from across the galaxy gathered at Epsilon 7, it became clear that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history, one written not in spite of human resilience, but because of it.